been telling you this morning that there are thousands of Canadians who make their homes here in Paris, in France more broadly, but in Paris. And my next guest is one of those, Kate Kemp-Griffin, who has been here for 26 years, telling me just a moment ago, from Kingston, Ontario originally, but now also a French citizen.
And a French citizen, yes.
Thank you for being here today. Why it's so important to bring the Canadian perspective to Canadians who are watching and trying to make sense of this. For you, what has Friday represented in the city that you chose to live in, that you love, you must love?
Exactly. It is a city that we chose to live in, and we went through the process of becoming French citizens as well, and the attacks are getting closer. We have families, we know the places. We're regular people leading regular lives, and it's now everybody's story. It's now not just stories happening elsewhere.
And how does that make you feel?
Makes me feel as if we don't have a choice but to join the story. It's being written, and either we let other people write it for us, or we participate and write it ourselves. And there's a lot of people, it's always the bullies who make the most noise, and it's just going to take a while perhaps for the quiet people just to get mad enough. But I profoundly believe in the goodness of people. And that is also apparent. I don't know if you can feel that here as well.
It's been quite extraordinary.
It's extraordinary,
the last couple of days,
yes.
I've seen that.
And last year as well, and people from 9/11 talk about the same thing too. It's this dynamic where people, while the worst is happening, the best comes out in people. And the best comes out when they didn't have a chance to rehearse. It's the bad people who get to rehearse. And we're just naturally good people. So.
To me, it's the porte ouverte, the open doors, people who've been stranded or who can't get home.
Absolutely.
Parisians just open their houses and they come and stay with us until you find your way. And
yes,
you meet
with no prepping,
yes.
And the French aren't known for being completely open, welcoming people at first sight, but they deeply are. And today's quiet, but it's Monday too. Monday's always quiet in Paris. Mm-hmm. But it's not that quiet. People are out.
Yes.
Paris is a city. Paris is a city that lives on the street, and people live their freedom on the street.
I wonder how you think the leadership of this country has responded. We're going to hear from President Hollande very shortly, and in about an hour and 15 minutes, he's going to be addressing Parliament in a very rare, extraordinary address. How do you think the leaders have measured up in these days since?
In the days since, I think the French medical teams and the French police are extraordinary in circumstances like this. Their history of showing up ready, make decisions efficiently. The people that needed help were treated instantly. They were remarkable, and they are remarkable. We've had their assistance on minor accidents to more serious accidents in our personal lives as well, and they are extraordinary. And in the leadership, who wants that job? It's making decisions that affect the lives of everybody, and he's protecting and he's defending, and it's a very fine line.
He's writing the story that
he's writing the story.
Yes.
He hasn't been a president in this situation before either, and all eyes are watching, and he's writing. We're all writing the story, but I think this is important because it helps show how we want the story written as well. And sometimes I think everybody needs to feel encouraged a little bit. It's not the world we want to live in.
No, including your own children.
Yes.
You brought me something to show.
I did.
One of your children is 11. Is that
yes,
right? 11.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
Our youngest is 11. We have 5 children, and our youngest is named Fiona. Unfortunately, we lost a dear friend in this attack on Rue de Charonne. A friend of ours was killed. Yes, at the restaurant La Belle Équipe. And it was somebody we met. Our paths just happened to cross, and our families became friends. And they had adopted children from Madagascar as well, and our youngest is from Madagascar.
Right. So what did she write to you?
Well, she wrote to me, she threw something at me actually as she was leaving to go play outside, and I read it a couple of hours later. I wasn't sure what it was, and it was a letter to me saying that she doesn't want me to go to Paris anymore, that she's afraid that...
You live just outside Paris.
We live just outside of Paris, but we also have a studio in the area of the accident, so it's an area that we've also chosen to live in as well. The 11th arrondissement is wonderful, and she just writes in a very colorful, pretty way in French with a lot of errors. She doesn't want me to go to Paris anymore, or be Paris anymore, because she doesn't want me to get killed. And that she can't imagine her life without mommy or daddy, and that she then references this other family and their children as well.
Heaven lost.
That's
so heavy. It's heavy from 11-year-old.
It's heavy for 11-year-old, and there's a picture that she draws on the side of her face with tears streaming down. And in case I didn't understand, she's marked the words des larmes, tears, and then her face is in a frown face, and it says très triste.
Love you, mommy and daddy.
Yes, and then more importantly, she says, ça me fait du bien d'avoir écrit ce que j'avais dans mon cœur.
Which would be good to write what was in my heart.
And that's unfiltered. That is what's in people, and that's in a child. And
so, what do you tell her? How do you respond to that as a mother then?
Well, we had this discussion early on because we found the news from we knew the news. Obviously, we were there on Friday night as well. But I find it extremely challenging to, as an adult, absorb what's happening around you. And your children are old enough, whether they have phones or they don't have phones, they're getting information faster, so you can't not say something. If you want to have any parametrage of the story yourself, you have to say something and the truth. But how to tell the truth without the Disney version, yet not to, this is their childhood as well. So we talked, just very honestly, we told them about the attack in Paris, and then we found out about our friend, and we talked about that, and we just were very open. We said, we don't know how to be a family that knows somebody, and that's been hurt and that's been killed, and that's in our city. But the world is a good place, so it's definitely very important to
get that message.
Oh, absolutely.
Although unfortunately, it may be a conversation you need to have again, because it does not seem like this will be the last of the threats.
No, it's not. And we've noticed in our family, because we have 3 older children as well, that we didn't have these conversations about terrorism in our family. And now it's also part of, this is Monday morning, the kids went back to school for the first time. So we're telling them to grab their knapsacks. We're telling them not to, to remember about tennis, remember about all the different activities, and at the same time, don't be afraid. It's the way the word terror and terrorism filters into the regular conversation now is slightly eerie. Yet at the same time, it can't just sort of be a conversation outside of everything. So. I don't know.
I could speak to you all morning. What a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you for
being here. Thank you for bringing that. All the best to your children.
Thank you very much,
You get
Heather.
safely home.
Okay, thank you.
Right.